Hello. All right. We are streaming here once again. Going to be looking at DE Hinnom. I'm going to go ahead and try and get my chat set up. Someday in the future, I may actually figure out how to get it set up in advance and not just be literally clicked on the YouTube channel and then scrolling down a bit so I can see the chat. But that's it's a bit beyond us for now. Where we are at is checking out DE Hinnom. I want to try and get one more game in. So I was streaming yesterday. We looked at Ryujin, or Ryugo, the home of the Ryujin, which first of all I clearly misevaluated because so I was on the Reddit Discord for Dominions, which plays a lot of DE, and they have it. Some people have it as the only S. Some people just have it as part of S tier. And I don't know exactly why just yet. I just would have to guess that having all super mobile mages of all the elemental paths is super strong, and the scales troops seem pretty good, but maybe there's another strategy, which is what is causing them to be so darn popular. We were trying to make a lot of silly awake incarnate blesses for Ryujin expansion work, and those did not really work, but that just is sort of how it goes. But what we're trying to do today is look at a very fun nation, which is Hinnom, which the Reddit Discord has a tier list, and they have Hinnom in D tier. And that's just too low. It's just an unacceptably low tier for everyone's favorite friendly cannibal giants. So the question is, can we find a good Hinnom build? And then hopefully take that into a game and try and prove that D tier wrong a little bit. We obviously don't have a ton of time, and it's entirely silly in the specter of Dom 6 coming out, but still, I would like to see what we can sort of, what we could do. And Hinnom was the first nation I played for Dominion's multiplayer. It was the first nation I completed a single player game with, although it was kind of cheesy. So I think it would be fairly fitting if that is what we sort of ultimately chose to ride out Dominion's vibe with, even if it is in a modded game. Now, I don't have a modded game in mind. The game I was planning on drawing as the Ryujin got an extra person yesterday, so we are not going to be able to do that. So the question is, what can we do with Hinnom? So let's actually look at all of the unique Hinnom stuff first before we get to the god. And we'll keep giving people a couple minutes to hopefully join the stream here a little bit. So Hinnom's god selection is greatly expanded in DE compared to the regular game, mostly in the incarnates, or sorry, the incarnates, the immobiles, but with a handful of other new stuff throughout the tiers. Some notables: the Mason, or the Stone Magus, has the Mason trait, which will allow you to go to a citadel without needing to demolish and replace your citadel with blood. Hinnom does, so Hinnom always has the ability to do this, but getting to do it on turn 30 when this guy wakes up is fairly different than getting to do it on, turn 50 or something when you get much higher blood research. So that's a big one to note. You get a lot of new like Titan chassis, but I don't know that Hinnom really needs a Titan, so I don't know that any of these are quite what you're looking for. And as far as the immobiles go, depending on what you're looking for, the Golden Idol is still the cheapest immobile. So maybe there's a better one depending on your particular bless, but the Golden Idol is going to still be a very strong contender no matter what. Now, in any event, we're just going to pick something random. Ooh, we're going to try again because I forgot to turn on the debug mod. And the debug mod is going to crush my computer somehow. Hopefully I just fixed the sound for anybody listening. Okay, so Hinnom gets a decent amount of cool stuff. So they have some unique spells, some new spells besides just what regular Dominions has in Conjuration. They have the Teachings of Arakiel, which is a battlefield-wide spell. Costs an Earth Gem, gives -15 fatigue to everybody. So not necessarily something that you want to throw out casually, but if you know you're going up against Rigor Mortis, Heat from Hell, etc., those fatigue plays, this can definitely keep your troops up and moving. So that's a pretty good bonus. It says that it affects everybody who's touching the earth. I don't see anything up here which prevents it from touching flying, so I don't know if it works on flying or not, to be honest. The Anu is a Anunnaki. It is an Astral 4 Air 4 Titan chassis, I believe, for 40 pearls. So that's not bad. It costs a lot of Astral and Air, though. So not really breaking you into anything new. Hinnom has a bunch of teachings in this. Shamshiel gives Heat Aura and Fire Resistance. So this can be decent if you have got some good fire resistance yourself. Try and fatigue out enemies. Kokobel is a neat one. It's a ritual. Costs 5 pearls. You get Unrest -30, Tax Boost 10%, and +3 to luck scales. So I don't know if other people know more about this than I do. The only thing I really see this being super useful for is if you were to dump luck. Maybe to, Misfortune 2, I don't know if you want to go with Misfortune 3. You can cast this on your capital every couple turns to give your capital high luck, because your capital is the only thing that matters for getting heroes. So this will help you unlock heroes. The 10% tax boost is best on your capital. It's going to have way more population than anybody else. And because you are recruiting Melkarts and Bales, and maybe Riftfight Warriors, the Unrest reduction can be relevant as well. Ezekiel gives Mist Form to a small AoE. So that's something pretty nice for your Air 2s to do. I don't think there are any new Evos. Construction has the teachings of Azazel, which is a cross path you do not have outside of 10% randoms on your Bales. If you have enough boosters, it's, I think, 1 in 20, because it's a 10% random. It's even worse than that. Because, let's see. It's only your Bales. So it's 2 out of 3, get one of the paths, and then 50% of 10%. So it's 66% times 5%. So not super likely, and that's assuming you have the boosters. You have a much easier time boosting Earth than you do Fire. You can make all the Earth boosters naturally, but none of the Fire boosters. So much easier going from Fire to Earth than the other way around. This is going to give you 100 resources in your capital, which is an extra couple potentially of either Scales units or Riffium. Construction bonus 10%. The construction bonus is nice. This costs 25 fire gems plus 1 per turn. So you're going to need to spend a lot of gems on construction to make this worth it, right? If you spend 50 gems on this, right, you take the base price and you add 25 turns. You need to spend, what is it? Is it 500 gems to get those back? Because every 10 gems, you get 1 back. So you need to buy a lot of gear to make this worth it from that perspective. And it allows the recruitment of Dawn Warriors, which are cool. They are your Rephyte Warriors, except that they have flame brands as their weapon. Which is really cool. It's potentially problematic in how it interacts with the rest of what you're doing. Just because the Rephyte Warriors eat your population, so it's kind of hard to build too much around them, but it's cool. This is a huge heal. Area effect 2+. This is nature 2 to cast, I believe. Yeah, nature 2 to cast. Area effect 2+, not a ton of fatigue. And that's a really big heal. So it's going to help your giants a lot. I think this is actually going to be potentially a really underrated spell. Just because heals are not necessarily particularly good in base minions. But that heal seems kind of good for your nature mages to be doing throughout a given combat. And then you have a bunch of new blood spells. So you have Banquet of Flesh, which is not super exciting. It's going to heal afflictions. You have healers, though. So you should hopefully heal with your healers instead of trying to remove afflictions with your Banquet of Flesh. But in a pinch, this can work. And it's blood 0, I think. Serum and Shedim are normal to the game. Leaves Sword of Civilization, normal to the game. Up at blood, you need blood 8 and you need blood 9 researched to get the Grigori. But you also get some cool new spells. The Hunger of the Rephaim eats people who are up against you. I did a little bit of basic testing with this. It's difficult to make it work because you have to put your Mel carts generally. Maybe you can do it on somebody else, but I was doing it in the Mel carts in their like super combatant thug role on advancing cast. And they don't always cast it. They sometimes like to cast other stuff. And it tends to fatigue them out. But if it works, it works. Consume Strength is in Enlarge, which is awesome. That also gives all the Enlarge bonuses. I think this is more Strength than a typical Enlarge bonus, but maybe not. +7 Strength, and it also removes all fatigue. So you can do this at the sort of the cap of your buff cycle to get back down to 0 fatigue, which is awesome. And it's just a single Blood Slave. So that's pretty cool. All right, sorry, it's this one here. Single Blood Slave. Consume Heart is also Single Blood Slave. Regeneration 10%, Reinvigoration 2. Again, all fatigue is removed. That's going to go a long way. Between these two, you have all the stuff you normally would bring your Akkas, your N2s, to fluff your milk carts with. They'll be size 6, so they'll be immune to trampling. And they're going to have regeneration, and if you gave them a regen ring, which you can make, they'll have 20% regeneration, which is pretty huge. Plus a lot of fatigue reduction. Celestial Abominations is best cast by your Melkarts and Bales, but if you have your Kohen in a community, they can do it too. This is going to give Fear 5 to a whole bunch of your Sacreds, which is pretty cool. Adding Fear is something you can't normally do in regular Dominions very easily. So adding it to a bunch of Sacreds goes a long way. You have this one is well level 5, another one Blood Slave spell. It's gonna hit a major fear on a bunch of units. I think it's similar to Agony. Yeah, Agony's also major fear, so it's a similar spell. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure of the difference. This is easier to cast, but it says you also afflict them with disease, so afflicting people with disease is kind of iffy for an on-battle spell. Just because the only way disease is going to matter, or most of the ways disease is going to matter, is if you don't win the battle. But it's a thing. By Lilith, there's 113 blood slaves. You get a unique commander. We'll summon her in a sec, and we'll do Return to the Death in a sec. So let's get some blood magic. And show we got Lilith, and then the Return of the Nephilim is also a very cool spell. So this is our Lilith. So she's a Death 2, Nature 3, Blood 4, Size 5, with a host of inborn resistances, invulnerability, awe. She's basically the Anunnaki of love and war, or whatever. Maybe there's one that's even more closely associated with her, but that's the one that I think most people play, so that's what I'm thinking of. So she's a demon, invisible, which is pretty nice. So she's perfectly capable of doing stuff. This is theoretically a way into death if you don't have any other way in. If you don't have access to any death to do Curse of Blood, you can do Bind Lilith. She then can get a Skull Staff and is going to be short another death path to do Curse of Blood. But you maybe can make a Ring of Sorcery, something like that, to get her in, or an artifact. Something like that. So she's a way potentially into vampires if you didn't already plan on it. The Nephils, so let's go ahead and just get a bunch of them. Bunch of return. Wow, we ran out of blood slaves. I didn't actually think that was really a thing in with this mod on, but in fact it is. Did I hit? So I guess I hit no on any of them. This guy consumed people. Oh, there's another one. So this is going to give you a 4-path mage in something besides blood, and then +3 in blood, and then a holy 1. They have some fire resistance and some poison resistance, and they're going to eat a huge amount of population and cause a huge amount of unrest. But it is a size 6, 81 HP Titan chassis that you can then roll around. And it will take your Bless, and if you take a Melkart Bless, they will take it too, and you can sort of have a good time with those. And they're kind of, they're very high in blood magic. You know, the blood 8. But 99 blood slaves is not all that expensive. Baratos pays something similar for just a Melkart. So, and I think in DE, which is what we're looking at here, Curse of Blood is also 99. So you're getting one of these guys, or you're getting a Vampire Lord. And a Vampire Lord certainly has plenty of other advantages. It's immortal, obviously. And it has death, which these guys I don't think are going to have. But it's a pretty nice chassis. Pretty good attack, okay defense, good morale, very, very good MR. 18 MR is nice. And you can stack some other stuff on them, good HP. So these are pretty nice. They also they have an age of 1. I did not know that. I guess you are newly siring one when you cast one of those. So that's fun. So I think that's sort of it for the new stuff. We can cast a Cocoa Bell here just to show what that looks like on a release Anu. And we'll go ahead and cast the the, what is it called? Where is it? My, oh, it's not researched yet. We need enchantment. Or, it says enchantment on the document, but I think it's actually construction. Okay. So we can see our Anu here. The Anunnaki is, yeah, Air 4, S4, which is pretty awesome. He's a heretic, so you gotta watch out for that. But it's also potentially an advantage. He's got invulnerable, a little bit of awe, and some shock resistance. He's a Titan chassis, but you're not really getting him unless you already have the paths available. So he's not really breaking you into anything. He's just sort of a nice to have. We'll do a teachings of Kokobel here and a... Where is my teachings of Azazel? So you can see this one costs extra gems. So the teachings of Kokobel, so we have neutral luck. After just casting it this turn, we have luck 2. So because of the way your Dominion interacts with this cast, it is, I think, either more often than not or always only going to get you to luck 2 if you don't already have a higher level of luck, which is fine. It's gonna go, you know, if you have misfortune 2 or misfortune 3, going all the way up to luck 2 is a really substantial difference in how likely you are to get heroes. And it's going to help your capital site get good events. And then your Ami are going to help prevent bad events in your other fortresses with their fortune teller. But you'll still suffer a lot of negative events in all your unforted provinces. Particularly as a lot of Hinnom builds are going to have turmoil. So I don't immediately see how you're going to use the teachings of Kokobel effectively. A 10% tax boost on a capital, even with scales, a capital is usually in EA, I think 400 to 500 gold tops. So you're only going to get 40 to 50 gold for 5 astral gems, astral pearls. If you have a lot of unrest, it will give you a lot more gold, and the luck is sort of a nice addition. But it doesn't immediately to me seem like it's enough to dump luck. So I'm not sure if it's great, to be honest. It seems nice, but sort of just not quite getting where you want to be. I think the Nephilim can be most paths. Hinnom has access to, so I assume you can't get water. But yeah, fire, a lot of nature, a lot of earth. I think you can get astral. Probably don't have enough blood slaves to do the whole thing here. Yeah. Yeah, there's an astral. I was lucky. So being able to summon an astral 4 is kind of a big deal. That's a lot of astral. You can see our capital has a huge amount of unrest. So we'll get Kokobel in here to save us. And I think that's, oh, we got a hero too, that's nice. Or not a hero, a random event. Plus some Liliths. I don't know if the Liliths are joining because of Lilith, or if that's just random. Okay, so each of these is just the event. besides a couple of these at the bottom. Yeah, Lilith has joined to serve Lilith. So that's sort of what you can get in DE Hinnom. So the question is, how do we make DE Hinnom work when the broader DE community thinks that Hinnom is not effective? I think I still think the Scales Hinnom is really good, even in DE. I think you can either go Scales Hinnom with a Milk Cart Bless, or you can go Scales Hinnom with a Seir Bless. The Milk Carts gain a lot in DE with those additional blood spells to gain Enlarge and Regen. The Seir don't get substantially better from Hinnom unique stuff, besides you being able to paint fear on them, which is nice. But I have not like done an exhaustive search of every DE spell. So there may be other DE spells that help them that I'm not aware of. There are more buffs in general. There's also more ways to damage them, so I don't know if they're actually better or worse. I think I did my like generic Imprison Bless. Let's see, looks basically like this. And I was going for a lot of attack skill. Fire and shock resistance, because we don't need it until stuff comes out later. So magic weapons is a Seir concession. If you want to focus more on the milk carts, you go for plus MR, plus 3 MR. And then I like Blood Surge. You have very, very killy troops with the Seir, and the milk carts are killy, so they're going to get a lot of the benefit out of Blood Surge. And this is pretty darn good scales. So I think this is like a pretty effective bless. I don't know, we'll see. The Reddit Discord has a rate my god button, so maybe we'll try and press it here and see what people think. Although if they put Hinnom in D tier, clearly they're biased. Hinnom is barely above my poor Baratos, who they put in F tier. I will say Baratos does not get a lot out of DE. No combat spells, a handful of kind of DE generic rituals. So I'm willing to believe that Baratos has kind of gotten the shaft in DE. But yeah, so I think this is like a very reasonable build that you could go for DE Hinnom. So we'll come back and maybe try expansion testing another night, maybe tomorrow, and hope to see some people tomorrow. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. But thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all next.